So anyway, a lot of the things that we talked about had to do with the legality of marijuana, and one of the things we said was just because it's legal doesn't mean it's healthy. I mean, alcohol is legal, but there's so many things coming out about it, controversy having to do with should you have one drink, should you have no drinks? So they're addressing that and its health factors and all that. So what are our thoughts about marijuana and the legality of it? And
Well, like Donna was saying, she was in a restaurant last night and they were smoking, you said they were smoking marijuana there? All right, where
Outdoor dining at the next table, but
Okay,
yes.
but where does this stop? Because there may have been a family there with children.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't the restaurant owner have anything to say about that?
You know what,
I wouldn't wanna be around
I know.
smelling
But now
that
you
as
got
I'm eating.
now you have a small business owner that wants to keep customers. They're already struggling, right, as it is.
I don't think they're gonna say.
So
anything.
what are they gonna say? What are they gonna say?
I think what I'm seeing about marijuana, and you know what I'm seeing is like a lot of young
forgot
kids
something?
just doing it. Kids in high
laptop
school
back?
doing it all the
She'll bring
time.
it to you.
And I have one
Laptop
client
back.
who's 16
Yeah,
years
marked out.
old. He doesn't have a job, and I'm like, how do
Getting
you
the
get?
money.
How do you get? Where do you get marijuana? Like, because I was trying to get him to go to a youth center, and he's like, well, the bus is there. I was like, how do you not have money for a bus, but you get marijuana like every day? Like, and I don't want to like kind of push him to be like, all right, where are you getting it? You know, like I want him to tell me.
Probably also.
But
have
he's
it
like,
with
people are
friends,
very
and they
resourceful.
get it
But
from
he
friends.
he says it's really easy to get it.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Well, we had a discussion at one of our meetings how you can there's DoorDash for marijuana. You can have it delivered to your home.
Oh.
And a young kid would just need a parent's card.
Yeah, my
Debit
daughter
card or
did
credit
that.
card, and you can have it delivered to your home.
Yeah, my daughter did that.
You see.
Then we also have the medical marijuana.
Yeah, that doesn't
I know a
help.
number of people who are relying on that, and
I think it's great for the people that it's helping. I don't want people to get the impression from us that we're saying you shouldn't be helped by the things that are helpful. But for those people that are just going to the doctor with the keywords they need to be able to get a prescription,
Yeah.
that's the dangerous thing.
right.
And, you know, some of the things that are coming out, some of the reports that are coming out, right, they're saying, well, for some people, it's increasing their anxiety. So why is your doctor giving you a prescription for medical marijuana for anxiety if it's gonna make your anxiety worse? So there's so
It's also
much.
starting to cause psychosis because it's so strong now.
Well, a lot of marijuana smokers are pro marijuana and against alcohol. They think smoking marijuana is safer than alcohol. But Fern, as we said before, the marijuana of today is totally different than what
10
these
times
stronger. It could be laced with fentanyl, other drugs in it. It's
what's
not
gonna
what it used to
happen,
be years ago. People used to say, marijuana smokers used to say, oh, it's not addictive. You can't get
It
addicted.
is.
Well,
And it
there's-
absolutely is addictive.
Yeah, it's addictive. And they're saying that actually alcohol use has gone down because
Yes.
this younger generation is turning
Prefers
to weed. So
But there's no way of knowing the level of THC that's in
Is
the
in.
weed.
Well,
And that's the problem, is the level of THC, how much you're getting, and that's where, psychosis, the possibility of psychosis and not coming back from that.
well, like
Isn't it
Adriana said,
regulated?
it's because it's legal now and the potency is higher. The people that are advocating for it to be sold in their neighborhood are saying, yeah, but if it's a legal product, there's supposed to be more control over it.
Right, that's what I was gonna say.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. That's what I was gonna ask you. Is it regulated when you go into these stores to buy it? Like,
supposed
It's
to.
It
supposed to
should
be,
be.
but I mean, now
But
you
who
got,
knows what happens
yeah.
when.
right, now you got people trying to make
Right.
drinks out of it,
Right.
they're trying to bake with it, they're
Right.
trying to do all kinds of crazy things and they can't control it when they get home. And then how about the elderly people that are saying, oh, well, we used to do this when we were kids, this is great that it's legal now, but it's
different.
different than 1970 when you were playing with
Well,
it.
and I think this takes us all back to the purpose of having a municipal alliance working on prevention, because it's one thing to try to regulate what's already out there. We work on preventing kids from getting started or helping them stop before it becomes a really big problem. So It's kind of like functional medicine, which looks for root causes of things, and that's what you have to treat. So that may derail the conversation about marijuana as it exists today, but that's really why we're here.
It's a good point.
Well, it is definitely, it begins with mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So what were we saying? We were talking about that in the meeting, about how, at an early stage, we need to check on, we were talking about, students, children, how they react.
Yeah, intense
Emotionally.
emotional situations that they don't know how to process it, they don't know how to regulate that intense emotion. And, that's something that just doesn't go away. And if you see that when they're really little, that's the time to an intervention. Because as that child gets older, what's the first thing they're gonna do? They're gonna self-medicate because they can't handle or process their intense emotional feelings. They don't know what to do with them. And as a parent, if you don't recognize that, they're gonna try to, figure out how to handle that, and very often it's substances.
What are some of the red flags, you guys?
Well,
What
they
would
might-
you call a red flag?
A red flag, parents, families, friends of the young ones, the students, not setting proper example. Which
That's why.
today is, it's big, with marijuana being legalized.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
one thing I'm seeing, like with kids, and maybe you can also, that there should be like some psychoeducation on parenting styles. Because there are certain parenting styles that make children like the authoritative, where it's kind of like my way or the highway. It affects their self-esteem, their development, their, kids that are in that sort of environment feel a lot of pressure and they're not happy, and it tends to make them more prone to like do something like, because they just can't. Whereas a authoritarian style is more
Guiding.
like involved, like
giving them those
involved in the
boundaries.
decisions, like making, like,
Right.
so
I think
that
it's want
they say
that.
that that's bad. I think, and I think a lot of parents don't know that.
Because
Sometimes
they're doing what they
what
know
their
from what their parents did.
yeah, we're
It's
like,
my,
yeah, it's my way
or
or
the highway,
Right.
because I said so.
Right.
That's what you heard,
Right.
with no
And a lot
explanation.
of us can look back and say, well, my parents did X, Y, Z, and obviously there are things that we didn't like, even if we had what we call a decent upbringing. But this world that we're living in, we cannot compare it to the one that we grew up in. It's just not the same, and parenting has to change, but parents don't have the skills. I was one of them. And go ahead.
As
Quick
was I.
question, like if you guys could each think of an idea that we could share with parents, what would be a red flag that they should say, this is not just your 7-year-old or 5-year-old or 12-year-old acting the way every other one does? What's a red flag to be aware of, to say, you know what, I should look further into that? Like, what would be a behavior that you could catch and say, to advise another parent and say, well, that could be something as simple as them not understanding the situation or not reacting properly, or it could be deeper, and this is what you should look into.
Just think the meltdowns. If your child, again, with very intense emotional situations, they're having meltdowns, they don't know how to, self-regulate themselves. That's huge.
I agree.
I think that's the biggest.
So now,
One
okay,
of
so
the challenges, though, now is that the diagnosis of autism is so huge. It's just increased, what feels like it's increased exponentially. And how do you know? That's the question that parents ask. I mean, my son had learning issues, but he was our firstborn. We didn't know very much, and we didn't know that he had delays in certain areas. So we just, like everybody said before, we assumed that this was somewhere in the normal part of things, but it wasn't. At what point do you start questioning that, especially with a 5-year-old? But the meltdowns, if they're extreme meltdowns, maybe it is autism, maybe it's
Or the
some-
repetition of them, not
or-
just one. I mean,
right. Oh yeah, it's never just one.
Yeah.
And I work with parents of older kids, so there are warning signs for that.
what's an example?
Oh, if you have a teenager and you've got friend groups changing, sleep patterns are changing, grades are going down, all those things that if you only saw one of them, you'd say, well, maybe I don't know. But when they start to come together, lack of personal hygiene, a whole slew of things that can be like,
All
okay,
things that happened with my
warning,
son.
danger.
Well, everything that you just said are all things I noticed with my son. Like almost overnight, it started to change.
But then on the other side of things, you're talking about the different parenting styles. What about the parent that says, I'm gonna control the friends you have, I'm gonna control where you go, I'm gonna control it, and it still happens.
It still happens.
And it's not there are no red flags because you're controlling everything. Now what kind of advice can you give to that parent who says there's not gonna be a problem in my house because I know where my kid is at all times and they follow my rules and I make sure. What are you gonna do with that parent where they find themselves someday, wait a minute, how did this happen? They get sideswiped because they didn't provide that education because they thought, well, we have a lot of rules in our house and they know that they're not supposed to do that, so we're not gonna have that problem in my house.
Because they don't know that you can't control another
Yeah,
person.
you can't
Well,
control.
they didn't
you
have,
can't do that
I think by
control.
controlling somebody, you don't have that interaction with them because you just want to be superior and you just want to, my way or the highway, and that's it. So they don't get to know their child.
Well, sometimes it comes from fear. I mean, I've heard
Understandable.
conversations,
Most of the
parents
time.
say, I was so afraid that my child would get involved with the wrong friends and the wrong substances that I made sure that I had them busy in sports and I had them busy with, they came with family or I made sure that they didn't have sleepovers. I did everything because I was in fear. But then they still find themselves walking down a path because probably what you
Well-
said, they weren't paying attention to the red flags. I think that's like a big part of our discussion today, are
And
the
it's-
red flags, what to do when you catch them.
And it's precisely that need to control, to protect, right? You
Yeah.
said it,
Yeah.
it's all about fear and we
It's
want to
like
protect our
overbearing.
children.
Yeah.
But it's precisely that fear and that overprotection and micromanaging that gets you more of what you don't want.
It's a breeding ground for rebellion.
Yeah.
You know, that
Right.
tight,
Yeah.
iron fist
So
over
it's
the
learning-
child,
it's
they'll go
learning
the
how to-
opposite way.
Yeah, it's learning how to find the middle ground
Yeah.
between being attentive and empathetic and all that stuff and still holding the line. And my own experience has been that, oh gosh, I just lost my train of thought. Okay, somebody else talk about it.
Well, I was gonna say,
Come back to you.
one really important thing that I'm not seeing, but that is really important is families, especially young families, having meals together. Sitting down, because that, no devices. I see this a lot. I go into people's homes and, there's like a 5-year-old eating and, and they're not, there's a certain
Communicating.
bond, communication, how was your day?
Connection.
How connection that you get, you're interacting, how was your day? Did you have a problem? Where when people don't eat together anymore and it's very
It sounds like
common
a
now.
simple, right, that sounds like a
Yeah,
simple
but
change.
it's
Families are rushed,
important.
everybody's working.
Everybody's working,
They
they
get
got all these
home and-
activities.
I would imagine
All
a
these
lot of
different
parents
times.
today are saying, okay, do your homework, take a bath, do this, do that, and
They're directing.
how was your day today? What'd you do in school?
But they
Gets
did
left
that
out.
before, and everybody was still working and doing things. It's just, like the devices and then
The
people are
devices
just
and-
saying, like I hear it a lot, oh, well, I get home later, so I eat first, and then I eat, but it's really important, right?
That sounds like
They're
one
not
great
gonna be able to
takeaway.
do it every single night.
Yeah.
So you designate 2 to 3 nights a week.
Right,
For me, it was always a Sunday.
right, I was
A
just gonna say.
Sunday in the Italian family was a must.
Yeah.
And I still try to instill that, but it's hard with all their activities, who's doing this? I can't, Ma, because we gotta do football, we gotta do baseball.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And you know what,
And
maybe
it's
it
hard for
doesn't
them
have to
too.
be the home cooked meal, maybe it can just be, all right, we're all gonna sit around the table at 6:00. We're gonna have peanut butter and jelly. We're gonna
Yeah.
have a pizza
Something
delivered, but
quick.
we're all gonna at
Right.
least sit here
Yes.
together and talk.
And then these children feel like they're part of something, I think,
Or their opinion counts when you
and their
ask.
opinion counts.
Yeah.
Or
instead of
you-
just
or
talking
they'll
at them,
come
talk
to
with
you
them.
when they
With
have
them.
a
They're heard.
problem.
They're heard.
They'll be used to talking to you, so that when
Right.
they do have it,
They won't be afraid to
Right,
come to you.
right.
exactly.
And maybe they know that Sunday's that day that we're getting together, so that's a good time for me to save that for that, or,
Right.
be prepared, because they're gonna ask me, how was my week?
Right.
It takes a lot of preparation, right, from a young age. And that doesn't guarantee that when your kids hit the teen years, that all of a sudden they're gonna say,
Yeah, that's
oh,
all.
right, I can't wait for Sunday dinner. No, they'd
No.
rather be with their friends.
Friends,
Sure.
yeah.
But there's always a middle ground. There's always a compromise that you can make to grab those moments.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to
And
be
it's hard.
intentional about it.
It's hard because if they're married or out, you know, on their own or with their partners or whatever, and their partners have other plans, it's hard. You're putting the person in the middle. Do I go home to mom for, you know, hanging out, seeing how everybody's doing, or do I go with my partner?
Well,
that's-
maybe that's the time where they start their own traditions in their
Right,
house.
yeah,
right?
right, that would be
Yeah.
great.
So that's
Yeah, I
something
think-
to think about.
Cause I do that with my grandkids, the minute they get out of daycare, I'm like, oh, how was your day? How
I
did
do
it
the
go?
same.
You know,
I do
yeah,
the same thing.
right away.
And sometimes they appreciate talking
Yes.
to grandparents
You know, high
instead of
five,
parents.
you know,
I
you did a
think,
great day.
I think kids will feel so much better about themselves and more confident if they feel heard
Yes.
and understood.
Yes.
And like, you know, they, sometimes like you hear a kid, they're so excited to tell you something, you know?
Yes.
Stop and really listen.
Yes.
Instead of just like, okay, that's good, and just go do this, or
That's
whatever, you know?
right.
Yeah.
Or-
And I
or-
think we talked about it the last time.
Yeah.
A lot of these parents are on their cell phones just way
I
too
was
much.
just gonna
Way
say
too
that.
much.
I
You know
was just
what?
gonna
There's
say
a
that.
time to be on your cell phone,
Right.
and that's not when your children are in front of you.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. That's the number one.
But we know that when we're in a meeting
Yeah.
with an adult, we know that we're not supposed to be on our phone because we're in the middle of a
What's the
meeting. and we're
difference then
supposed
when
to-
your child's in
Exactly.
front of you?
Exactly.
I saw a guy riding a bike this morning on his phone. I was
Oh,
like,
Lord.
oh, this is not gonna end.
I was
well.
coming, when I was coming into this afternoon, coming here, this car on the left of me kept swerving, and I kept saying, he's on his cell phone. I finally beeped and I sped up a little bit, and I looked, and sure enough,
Sure enough.
he was on his cell phone.
Yesterday I saw a grandma pushing her little grandbaby and the dog's looking at her and she's on her phone.
Yeah.
I said, oh my God, that poor dog.
I know, the dog needs attention, come on.
Exactly, exactly.
Because she had with the leash, you know,
Yeah.
and looking at the phone and the dog is
The
like,
dog's trying to get
yeah.
attention.
So with what you said about being heard, the kids need to know that we're safe to come to. And that doesn't happen if we're either on our phones, not listening, doing something else,
Right.
or when they come to us and we're thinking of our response, because now it's like, oh my goodness, what are you telling me? I've got to fix it, I have to improve it, I have to manage it, critique it, and they're just gonna look at us and say, why am I talking to you?
Mhm.
I don't need this.
Sometimes they just need listen time.
That's right. And one of the things that I learned along the way is to ask your kids. Don't wait for them to spill their guts to you. To ask them, what would be helpful for you right now?
Mhm.
And a lot of them won't be able to identify it. And we're talking about older teenagers too. They just don't have the words.
The word.
They don't know how to talk about emotions. So you say, do you need a hug? Do you just want me to listen? Do you want me to help you solve a problem? You want me to leave you alone? And we give them those options to start increasing that vocabulary.
And now they have more of a champion to go to rather than someone that's going to
And a
correct
fixer,
or
yeah.
a
We do
fixer or
that with
something.
the grandkids, you know, when they want to be left alone.
Yeah.
Okay, when you're ready
You
to
kind of
come
know
back.
after
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have to leave.
Well, so I think we've had enough
Yeah.
conversation for today. So
I
unless
gotta get
anybody
my
has,
grandchildren.
in case anybody has any one last thought, last thought, anybody, or we can wrap it up.
I think
That's it.
I think we
Great,
got it covered.
great
I think we got it
conversation.
covered.
I
Thank
think
you.
we solved
Thank you.
everything.
Yes. Well, we got more to go, but thank you everybody for sticking around after the meeting.